It's Tom Albright with AVNation with David Lincoln. He's from here, from Legrand AV, physically in real space. Plus, he's from St. Louis, which makes him even cooler. And he's even from the Illinois side of St. Louis, which ultimately makes him even more cool. We're doing a couple things different, David, where we're doing some interviews with manufacturers, specifically talking about what you make and how you make it and how it impacts the end user, right? The dealers are absolutely important. Dealer channel is important. What they need is important. But this video series is all about how what you do and what you make impacts them in their life. You guys have been talking about the Tempo on-wall system this year, and you're going into 24, certainly talking about it. Explain to a university tech manager, explain to an IT manager in corporate AV, what this means to them. And first, explain what the Tempo is, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. The Tempo on-wall is a ground-up design mount. The idea
is from
scratch? From scratch, yeah.
Okay.
So we kind of took the blueprint of our mounts and said, how can we do this different? How do we meet the installs of today? Today the conference rooms have more equipment behind the display, not less, right?
Yeah.
And so we need to make space for that. We also are looking at the type of installs that we're seeing. People were doing the articulating mounts where you would pull it off the wall and make those adjustments, not because they needed that, but because they needed, to be able to access it, especially on the installer side, right? If there's a service call. So the idea was, how do we create a product that meets today's needs and meets our projects? So what we did is we kind of, like I said, kind of ground up, came back to it, and talked about, creating a product that pulls out, so you can have access to service. So in those situations, especially on campuses, you may have IT team that has to come out and service the displays, come and check on the BrightSign player or the Nook PC. You can easily pull out these large displays because it gives you 13 inches of pull-out range. So now I can get back there and actually start making adjustments.
You can work back there.
You can actually, absolutely.
Okay, so let's break this down for a second. You've got an articulating mount that, and this is Tim's definition of articulating mount. You can pull it out away from the wall. It's still attached to something. You can adjust it. You can do this, right? Yeah. You've got 13 inches behind there to work. And I'm not a small guy, but I can work inside 13 inches.
Same here.
If you, yeah, yeah. Talk about the cost savings then, not only in labor hours, right? If you've got your own internal IT team, right? You've got your own internal AV team, and they're the ones going out and servicing. You don't need to send 3 people or 2 people to get the display off the wall. You only need 1, because all you got to do is grab the sucker and pull it off, right?
Yeah.
But you've also got the other side is, if you're in a situation where either A, you don't have the staff, or B, it's beyond your staff's capabilities, you have to hire an integrator to come out and service that. How does that save them money then?
Well, that's going to save your service ticket, right? Instead of sending 2 guys out for this visit that could be something very simple, just one person goes out, they can pull it out, they can check on it, they can do all the adjustments behind it. It also, on top of that, is going to be a cost saving in the idea that the mount now holds a lot of your equipment. So where you were buying, other pieces of gear to hide that equipment, maybe it was an old rack, or you're hiding stuff up in the ceiling in a plenum case. Yep. Now it can all sit right there on the wall. You have plenty of space to work with, and it all comes with that same mount. So there's additional cost savings just on the hardware, but for labor, it's going to save you additional labor as time goes on.
And the one thing that IT and AV managers, I don't care where you're at, corporate or government or higher education, total cost of ownership is a huge phrase that I don't think gets talked about enough. What you're talking about is saving on that total cost of ownership, because every time you have to send somebody out, and I don't care if you get charged internally, or again, if it's an external service ticket cost, that TCO, right, that total cost of ownership, will go up exponentially every time you have to have somebody come touch that.
100%, yeah. And so if you're sending out 2 people just to take that display off the wall, it's going to add up over time.
Absolutely.
And the same, the thing that a lot of people don't think about with articulating mounts that I see over time is, people start adjusting it, and it starts kind of tilting and drooping. I'm sure we've all seen them where they're sitting out there. So this is all locked in. So everything, even your tilt, so you have up to 10 degrees of tilt on this, and it's a sawtooth pattern. So there's no
wow.
drooping over time. It's going to stay in place. And so even after that service visit, it's still exactly the way it's supposed to be because it's all locked in. So even just the time of somebody coming in and just slightly adjusting it because it started to tilt over time because those screws weren't tightened down, and now you're kind of just little maintenance things like that. It's going to save you time in there too.
Absolutely, and you know, instructors, and I'm going to pick on higher education for a second. Instructors are notorious for doing that and not putting them back, right?
100%. Yeah.
Or you know, doing in that way it is locked down. And you can't really do anything with it.
Yeah.
All right. David, so how does somebody find out more about the Tempo on wall?
Yeah, so LegrandAV.com is going to be your best place. Tempo on wall system, and then it'll show you all the accessories and all the additional features that we weren't able to cover.
All right, very good. David Lincoln from Legrand AV. For us, AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Or go over to LinkedIn. We have a brand new LinkedIn group just for end users called Citizens of AVNation. All that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.